You know what time it is? It is time for Oktoberfest. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, you won't see me this excited very often. It is Oktoberfest time around the world. I'm going to say here in the UK, it's a German thing, what a daft thing to say, Tom. But it is Oktoberfest, and that means one thing and one thing only: we need to rank this year's Oktoberfest beers. Before you turn off and say, Tom, you've done this every year. Now, I know, but trust me, I'm going to always find a little way to make it interesting and different. We have the Big Six, the official Munich-based brewers of Oktoberfest: Spaten, Lowenbrau, Hacker-Pschorr, Hofbrau, Augustiner and Paulaner. And they aren't in this order just randomly. I had a look back over my videos and said, well, one year I went through each bottle individually, dedicated an entire video to each one, and said just how good they were in absolute detail and ranked them after the fact. That was great, that was fun, but a little bit arduous every single year. Last year, we got them all out on the table like this and just ranked them all, cross-testing them and doing it that way, which was great, but I'm not sure necessarily yielded an absolutely fair result. So this year, we're going to do it different again. Like last year, I am going to tell you what I think is the best Oktoberfest beer in one video, but I'm going to do it by way of elimination rounds. These are the orders, and well, that is about it. We are going to start down here with Spaten and Lowenbrau. I'll go into my reasoning in a minute. And then basically they get one chance each and then they're gone. They're out of the race until we get to the end to determine which one has managed to hang on to the very end and thus is the best Oktoberfest beer of 2025. But you'll be thinking, well, that's still kind of the same thing. But look, the problem with testing them individually is my mind and my experiences will have changed throughout each day that I've filmed the video, so it's not very fair. On the flip side, when I test them all in one go, the flavours of one affect the other. That's also a problem. But I've come up with a mighty fine solution. A very German solution. This is very much a Blue Peter moment. Here is one I prepared earlier. I considered just buying the little packets of hard pretzels, a bit of a palate cleanser, and then I thought, no, I'll go and get the nice proper authentic German style one from Lidl's bakery. And then I thought, no, Tom, you're better than that, so I made some myself. Only reason I've been nerding out in bakery a little bit, if you want to know how to make these, I may do a video on it. I did film it, it didn't go very well, so we'll wait and see what the footage is like. But yes, these are some authentic German pretzels, which I have to say I am very pleased about. Look at those. I can look straight through it at the camera, but more importantly, how good does that look? They aren't all that pretty, hence why that one is at the front there. But look, it acts as two things. It acts as a palate cleanser in between beers, but also it gives us something else, a new metric in which to rank them on. That, of course, not only just how good do they look, smell and taste, but how well do they pair with the quintessential Oktoberfest snack, or at least the stereotypical German beer snack at any rate. So let's find out. As always, apologies to the other brands, but I only have two matching Oktoberfest tankards, and well, they are Paulaner ones, but anyway, Paulaner's going last, so it won't affect things until the very end at least. And on the note of things going first or last, why this order? Well, I had a look back through my previous videos, and in general, I've considered these two, the Spaten and Lowenbrau, the less frequently admirable choice. What do I mean by that? Well, these are both owned by AB InBev. They are more available in the UK than the rest of them, at least kind of on tap and stuff later on in the year. And just, you know what, they are, yeah, because they're owned by AB InBev, basically, they're a little bit of the beer snob's least favourite. But last year, the Lowenbrau, as I recall, did a stellar job and ranked very highly. So it's not that they are always at the bottom, it's just they are more likely to get knocked out early doors. And well, if you put one of these in the final and it's absolutely terrible, then it's all a bit of a wet squib. I'll get onto the order of the others as we do them. I want to very much get into these, enjoy some Oktoberfest beers and those fine looking pretzels. So freshly rinsed glassware, let's get into these bad boys. It's nice, it's bright. This is the Spaten going in. The Spaten, I'll tell you what it's rocking in a minute. They're all pretty strong this year, I think, from memory, though I could be wrong. Lovely looking pour there. The Spaten rocking in at, it's always hard to find on German beers. They don't make it 5.9%. Might be one of the weaker ones, incidentally, but definitely not weak by most, let's call it lager standards. We know Oktoberfest beer is a slightly different thing, but the base is, let's be honest, a lager. And let's get these going. Again, a bit more straw coloured on the, what am I pouring here? The Lowenbrau. But again, looks absolutely delicious. Well, of course, one gets poured first, so its head disappears first. Carbonation, I'm leaning towards the Lowenbrau on looks alone. That isn't everything, though. If I hold them up against each other, under the studio light, honestly, really difficult to call it. They're almost identical. A fraction lighter, I think, on the Lowenbrau, but that could just be the angle I'm holding it at. They are, yeah, really, really similar. The head retention, I know it got poured second, but that head retention on the Lowenbrau does, I feel like, just is a bit better. It's holding out longer than Spaten did, but hey, that's it. So, happy Oktoberfest 2025 in first with the Spaten. Cheers. I was so excited, I forgot to do a proper aroma check. It hit me as soon as I started drinking it, but firstly, I'm very happy. Secondly, there's a slight fogginess to the aroma on this one that is the thing that's when, you know what, Tom, you've not done this in the right order, you got carried away, and there's a metallic twang, there's a rusty hedgerow note that probably doesn't entirely belong in a fest beer. It's not massively off-putting, it's not massively bad, negative or otherwise, but it's reminding me of a skunked bottle, which again, it should be pretty fresh because we're only just into Oktoberfest, at least at the time of recording, and it's dark bottles, so yeah, you get what I'm getting at. Flavour-wise though, okay, interesting. What is really funky and fuggy on the nose is really nice sweet cut grass on the flavour. It's well balanced, a bit lighter than I was expecting. Feels a fraction more Pilsner maybe than it has been in previous years, but it's very nice. I've got to say, I mean, I'm not going to have a bad time here, whatever I say about these, but it's not a failure, but maybe not exactly what we were hoping for. And time for the first Pretzel test. So I'm just going to tear a bit off one of these back ones and get into how does this go with a quintessential German pretzel. Does look very nice, that. Still slightly warm. Nice bit of salt on there. That's a pretty mean pretzel. But it's the first time I made them, and honestly, I'm very happy. You didn't come here for me to review my own pretzels, though. Cheers. Super refreshing. Dangerous combo. Really, you could consume a lot of both going back and forth on those two. The thing I'm going to say about this, I think you already know, is as good as it is, it's just feeling a little bit light for a fest beer. I want a little bit more spice, a little bit more indulgence, and it may be missing that. But what is there is absolutely lovely. Just question mark over how much of a fest beer it truly is. Now, I'm going to take a little more pretzel to try and cleanse the palate. Right then, into the Lowenbrau, which is rocking in at, what are we at this year? 6.1, which is pretty standard. Anyway, the high fives to low sixes is the Oktoberfest range. We know that, but yeah, it's 6.1. It's a nice number, that, for an Oktoberfest beer. I'll take a flat 6, but 6.1, yeah, just as good. Right then. We talked about the visual. I do think the head still holding a lot better than the Spaten, so it wins on the visual for me. The carbonation in the glass looks a bit better as well. Aroma-wise, none of that fugginess, so it's not just something about this year's hops or harvest. It's not smelling of a lot, if I'm totally honest. It's quite ready, but it's not very strong, but that's a good sign. Overall, really not much else to talk about on the aroma. Cheers. Bigger, bolder, richer, more spice, more bready, more depth. It's more Oktoberfest beer in every way. But in a lineup of what is probably going to be exceptional Oktoberfest beers, it might not be doing enough. It's riding the line of nothing wrong. In fairness to it, it's doing what German beer should and always has done, which is, you don't have to get too excited. There's nothing to see here. We're doing this. It's so good in the fact that there's nothing bad about it. Does that make sense? Like, its brilliance is in its simplicity. It's not going over the top. It's just their point and, well, just, yeah. I don't know what the word is, but it's beauty and simplicity. And it is very nice. I'm going to take a bigger swig. Bit more bitterness than there was on the Spaten. But it's just not giving me the wow factor. Let's try a bit of Pretzel with it and see how that goes. We're already at really a difficult decision here because the Lowenbrau is the better interpretation of a Oktoberfest beer. But the Spaten, I'll have to come back for a sec, is giving me an option. It's giving me something that I think the others won't. It's giving me a slightly lighter, slightly more refreshing, if it happens to be a warm September, October, yeah, the Spaten's probably going to win a lot of pleas if that's the case. And I'm absolutely stumped at the first hurdle. And I've got no choice but to go for the Lowenbrau, because I can't sit here and say that the Spaten has the potential to go on to become the best Oktoberfest beer when it doesn't really taste like one. I actually think I prefer it and want to drink it more than the Lowenbrau, but in an Oktoberfest competition, the Lowenbrau takes it. Okay then, on to the Hacker-Pschorr. Why this one? Well, the reason this came in third is because Hacker-Pschorr as a brewer, in my mind, is very good, but quite often, and by quite often I mean always in recent times, their Oktoberfest Marzen, which is what we've compared and reviewed, has been a bit drab. It's been a bit flat. I've always blamed the swing with top bottles. It just hasn't lived up to expectation. You'll notice though that this is not the Oktoberfest Marzen. Yes, for the first time, at least as to my knowledge, this has become easily available in the UK in bottle. It is their proper Oktoberfest beer, the real deal, the stuff you get at Oktoberfest. So I've got no idea where to rank it because, well, I've never had it before. So there you go. That is actually not true. I've had it on tap. But anyway, I've not had it in a bottle before. Can be a very different experience. So it kind of just had to go in the middle somewhere, and third on the list made sense. So let's get into it, shall we? It's pouring what looks like a richer gold than the two that have come before it. And I'll be honest, I'm very excited to try this because, like I say, not really had it before. I had it on tap once, and well, that experience is always fraught with challenges, like I'd already had several other things before it. So here it is, the Hacker-Pschorr, which I know I'm saying wrong, apologies, but I just can never remember it at the time that I need it. Obviously, I can't compare directly, but initially, visually, it looks absolutely magnificent. And if I hold it up, it is a bigger, more golden ale. And I think, in my mind, that is more true to what I'm expecting from an Oktoberfest beer. It shouldn't be too dark. It shouldn't be the Marzen or the Märzen, but it should be this big, rich, golden lager colour, which this absolutely is. This is coming in at 6% on the nose, which, as I already said, is a good ABV for an Oktoberfest beer. Let's get into it aroma-wise. Oh, that's interesting. Soft, sweet. Again, a little bit of, you know, the kind of crystallised fruit sweet thing you get with some Belgian beer? Getting a bit of that, which is interesting. It's kind of crystallized, it's just crystallized sugar, but kind of in a slightly fruity way. Not much else, a little bit of green hop coming through, but really, again, on the aroma, not what to talk about, probably because of the beautifully pillowy head. It's not very big, the head on this, but I don't know if you can tell. It is very, very dense. So on the visual, again, definitely because, well, the Lowenbrau was better than the Spaten, but yeah, visual on the Hacker-Pschorr goes up another level. So let's give it a try, shall we? Cheers. Okay. I don't need to take another sip to tell you what the winner is. That Hacker-Pschorr, I've been slating them for 2 years now, 3 years now. That is an absolute event. That, oh, it's big, it's rich, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's bready, it's the antithesis of what you think of when you think of an Oktoberfest beer. It is absolutely brilliant, and now I'm very worried for the other three in this competition. To keep things fair, I will do a proper test. I will do a little pretzel test with it because, well, why not? I don't need to, but those pretzels. I'm going to do the video about how to make them because I'm not a very good cook or baker, but with some simple instructions, I've made something just simply better than I've ever tried before, basically pretzel-wise. So that is fantastic. You should do it too. Right, let's give it a go after the pretzel. Should I pass away in the next 4 weeks, let it be known that I was found under a pile of pretzels and a load of Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfest bottles. That is how I'm feeling about this at the minute because, well, that is just absolutely delectable. I will come back to the Lowenbrau just to be sure, but by comparison, it's watery, it's thin, it's a bit too bitter, not robust enough, not depthy enough. It's just, look, it's very nice, don't get me wrong. I walk into a pub, they've got it on tap, I'm ordering it, but that is another level completely. Hacker-Pschorr, that is a beaut. I'll be honest, it's just a relief at this point to be able to say something nice about the Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfest beer after so many years of going, it's just really not there. Of course, it was a different product, but yes, this is the one. Now then, on to what I think is a bit of a beer fan favourite, at least if you're big into Euro travels, Hofbrau. Of course, the Hofbrau house in Germany, big, notorious, just beer drinking establishment for tourists. But I do wonder sometimes with Hofbrau whether it's more about the tourism than it is about the beer. If I said that about a brewery in the UK, what I would mean is that the beer is absolutely awful. What I mean in Germany is that it might be missing 1 or 2 percentiles, so don't take that as a massive dig, but I do sometimes think maybe the likes of Paulaner and Augustiner, ironically of course, because Paulaner is a bigger brewery, but I think, I might be wrong, but I think Paulaner is a bigger brewery. But yeah, anyway, I'm waffling. This though is a big boy, 6.3%. Can it stand up to that beautiful Hacker-Pschorr? Let's find out. Not as depthly coloured, much more similar to the first two. The head is more lively, much more lively, way more foamy head than we've had on any other. I've not even emptied the bottle at that, it's just taken over, but that's interesting. I mean, let's be honest, if you're going for Euro pints, you kind of want the foam, the big view. Of course, you're not always going to get it out of a bottle, but yeah, that looks very good. I'm torn now, I'll be honest. I think, although the colour of the Hacker-Pschorr, I prefer that big foamy head is part of the pomp and ceremony and just the drama of an Oktoberfest beer for me. So in that respect, I'm going to call it a tie. Aroma-wise, understandably, more spritzy, a little bit yeasty. I'm not getting, once again, a huge amount from it. Maybe it's my nose today, but a lot of these very soft. I mean, again, it's not a surprise with that massive pillowy head there. Slightly more grassy, bready, but more breadstick rather than a proper rich kind of sourdough or pumpernickel. Or indeed, pretzel, but it smells very nice. Yeah, a bit of a grassy twang to it. Anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Cheers. This is why I love Oktoberfest. Because a moment ago, I was genuinely worried that we'd found our winner 3 beers in and it was going to trounce the competition. I'm not saying it won't, but I'm saying, well, no, it's not going to trounce the competition because, damn, that is hard fought. Quite a few times recently, I've not been that nice I think, about the Hofbrau. It's done okay overall. Like, it's generally just been fine. I think that's the point. It's been fine. It's been good enough for kind of second, third, fourth every time I've tried it, but it's never taken the top spot. It's never fallen down the wayside either. But that, it's got some punch. It's got some twang. It's almost got some fire to it. A little bit of smokiness, perhaps. It's depthy. It's rich. It's maybe not as spicy and not as sweet as the Hacker-Pschorr, but it's still really diving into that autumnal, proper rich Oktoberfest experience that I'm expecting. All right, the pretzel test. This, I'll be honest, I think we need pretzel tests with every beer review going forward because I'm having an excellent time. Okay. It might be very much on parity in the delivery of the Hacker-Pschorr, but it didn't feel as good post pretzel, and I'm not sure why. It didn't quench the thirst quite as much. We're gonna have to do back-to-back pretzel testings here. We'll just go with a little bit. Wow. Okay. Is that weird? I thought the pretzel thing was going to be a gimmick. I thought it was going to be pointless. It wasn't really going to impact anything. But no, I was really 50-50 on these. I was going to struggle to say that one's better than the other. The Hacker-Pschorr's a little bit sweeter. The Hofbrau's a little bit more bitter, but with that comes kind of a slightly better flavour delivery, I guess, but a bit more freshness. But they're very level pegging. They're different, but very level pegging. But post-pretzel check, the Hacker-Pschorr stays in just by the skin of its teeth. That is the only thing I can kind of dissuade them through. There's something weird happened where it's just, yeah, the Hofbrau didn't feel like it was quenching the thirst required from a big old pretzel. There's only one problem with doing these mass tests, and that's about halfway through, which is what we're just after. I start to feel a little bit rosy cheeked, as you can probably tell on the camera, a little bit flush and a little bit spacey. So hopefully the rest of this makes sense. It's not so much the amount I've drank. I've only been taking sips here and there, but continually drinking sips and talking, well, the blood alcohol level goes up and I think the blood oxygen level goes down. So anyway, next up, Augustiner Brau. Why is it positioned second to last? I'll tell you for why. This, I feel like, is the beer geek's favourite, the de facto go-to. It's the best of the lot. And the reason I think beer geeks think it's the best, told you it was getting stuff, things were getting squiffy, the best of the lot is because, well, it's the smallest brewery. So there is that kind of, oh, it must be better because they're not making loads. At least that's my interpretation. Again, I might be wrong. They might not be the smallest brewery, but I'm pretty confident. But yes, it has that effect. 1 year, the first year I had it, I had to wait for it. It was a pain to get. It cost me a load of money to get because I'd already bought the rest of them. It was a pain, and then it was a bit lackluster after that. Last year, it was very, very good. If it wasn't the best, it came second, so hence why it ranked second today. It could go either way. This one weighs in at 6.3% as well, the same as the previous one. And it should be very, very nice indeed, but we are about to find out. Paler than I was expecting. In fact, that could be the palest of the lot so far. It really is very straw coloured. Really straw coloured. Nice head on it. Got a bit lively again like the last one did, but yeah. It's pasty. Is the only way to say it. It is pasty. A very nice looking pint. I think we're going to go again with the last one. It's kind of a tie. I prefer the darker, richer appearance of the Hacker-Pschorr, but that nice big foamy head can't be ignored. So visually, they're even Stevens. Aroma-wise, the funk has returned. Yeah, very much like the Spaten that we opened very first off. It's got this weird, foggy, funky, damp, not quite dank, it's more kind of damp leaves, not resin dank, and what I'm really trying to say is it smells a bit like a skunked beer. So not a great start on the aroma, but the taste of the Spaten was very nice. It just wasn't very Oktoberfest. So let's find out how Augustiner is cracking on. Cheers. Oh dear. Look, I'm going to give it a chance, because every time I badmouth Augustiner, people come at me and go, it's obviously the best. It obviously isn't, right? I'm sorry. This, after one sip, and I've only had one sip, I'll go back in a minute and I'll tell you if I'm wrong. After one sip, my interpretation of this is someone from Augustiner took a holiday to Burnley, went into a Wetherspoons, got told all the beer there was bad, so they should probably have a lager top or some kind of thing. They went for a lager and black, tasted it, and went, that's how this year's Oktoberfest beer should taste. I am open to being corrected though, so fingers crossed. I'm going to do the... No, honestly, no. I'm going to do the pretzel test early because maybe I'm being affected by everything else. Okay, hold on. It's changed, but not necessarily in a great way. The pretzel has helped. It's made it more neutral. It's a little bit sweet, it's a little bit spicy, it's a little bit more Oktoberfesty, a little bit less fruity. So maybe my taste buds were being affected, but I'm going to come back because... Need another reset. Okay. Something in that Augustiner beer makes everything else taste terrible. The Hacker-Pschorr tasted like this did after going back to back, which means the beer itself might not be a problem, but something in it is, and I think there's no point me trying to sit here and go, well, it might be okay, because look, if it can't make itself taste good and it makes everything else taste bad as well, it's an absolute fail. And on to what has been, for me, consistently, over the last few years, the best Oktoberfest beer. They haven't all been as good as each other. Last year we had a whole fiasco where some of the German market ones were way better than some of the UK ones, but overall the best one was still very, very good. But it's the only one I've ever gone back and bought more of after the fact, after the test. So I think it deserves to go last. But is that consistency enough to get it ahead of, well, what has frankly been the thing missing from our lives with that Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfest beer? Let us find out. This one comes in at 6% on the nose, which, as I've already said, a mighty fine ABV for a fest beer. Let's get pouring. No surprise, lighter than the Hacker-Pschorr. It's been by far the darkest, despite not being the Marzen. But, oh, you know what? With a bit in the glass, that's coming into its own. That's as close as we've got, I think, out of the others for some steady competition on the colour. I'd say the Hacker-Pschorr still just darker, but only just. Nice foamy head, it's not gone too extreme. Carbonation seems to be a little lacking in the glass, but then again, I think it was with the Hacker-Pschorr as well. So, yeah, I mean, again, not much to call it on the visual. These have all been pretty damn consistent. Let's get into it, shall we? Paulaner's Oktoberfest beer for 2025. I've been looking forward to this. Cheers. Thankfully, we saved some competition till the end. So what I can tell you, it's nice, it's big, it's rich, it's sweet, it's bready, got the mineral water. Not mentioned that so far. Been lacking in some of this year's Oktoberfest beers, or at least I've not been picking up on it. It is, yes, a fine effort from Paulaner. But now we get to the difficult bit. How do we choose? First off, of course, we need to pretzel test this. I'm quite pleased with myself. I've only gone through one pretzel, not even a whole pretzel, whilst doing this video. The bread, the salt, the beer. I know it's not very good for you, but damn, it's a combination. Like, that'll make you feel alive. Anyway, cheers. And it's excellent post pretzel. So now you try and cut all that out and go back to the Hacker-Pschorr. It's got a problem now. It's been out for a while. It's been out for about 25 minutes compared to the Paulaner. Obviously not for you, it's been cut down, but it's been poured for a while, hence it looks a bit flat. It's bigger, it's richer, it is spicier. It's softer, it's creamier, it's slightly dull in comparison. Compared to the rest, I think this is a solid second place in my mind. But it's hard to explain, but they are so close that basically one is the ultimate antithesis. It's got everything dialed to 10 or 11, and it's there and it's doing all the things it should do. Meanwhile, you've got the crowd pleaser version of that. It's very much, it's taken to 9 rather than 10. That's what we're talking about here. And which one makes the better Festbier? Well, you've got to drink a lot of it. Well, you don't have to, I should point that out. No one's forcing you, and you should only drink what you want to drink. But the whole point, the Oktoberfest, you go in there, litre, they're not steins because they're not made of stone, but you know what I mean. The big litre glass tankards. And my mind goes, well, you want the one that's easier to drink more of, which would lean slightly towards the Paulaner. The problem is, what Hacker-Pschorr have done is made a beer that hits the 10 mark on its extremes so beautifully across those extremes that it still feels incredibly well balanced. And I've been a big fan of Paulaner's Oktoberfest beers and their work in general for a very long time, but Hacker-Pschorr, you should have released this years ago in the UK in bottles, because frankly, that is the 2025 Oktoberfest champion for me. So this is my final ranking. In first, Hacker-Pschorr, Paulaner, Hofbrau, Lowenbrau, Spaten, and slightly embarrassingly, Augustiner at the end. I think that's twice they've copped last place in the last few years, so I need to stop talking to the people who keep bigging them up to me, because honestly, they need to do better. I don't know what it is, but it's just not, it's not getting there by the time it gets to me. That's all I can tell you. This Spaten isn't to be ignored, by the way. That is maybe not the best Festbier, but if it comes into Aldi again at a low price, it is a beautiful German lager, just maybe not particularly festy. It's better than their regular lager as well, which is interesting. So that doesn't really sit here. That for me, in terms of like what I want to drink, probably sits like third. But look, it's a Festbier test, so the fact that this was nice, this just wasn't. Yes, there you go. That's the score. What did you think? What have you tried? Let me know in the comments. It's getting late in the day. Words are getting difficult, so I'm going to wrap it up. But honestly, let me know in the comments. Do you think this Hacker-Pschorr, if you've had this one, not the Marzen, because that's always been a bit sketchy, was it as good as I think it is, or have I just been duped by my own stupidity? Let me know, and also let me know if you want that pretzel recipe. That is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.